Hello, hello, hello. Going live on a Friday evening just for the heck of it, as they say. Yeah, looks like it's working. See if anybody's going to show up in the chat today. There we go. Just an ad hoc, out of the blue, get online, wind down on a Friday kind of thing today. Anybody wants to join, just let me know. I'll put up the invite once we all get rolling here. Hello, Arizona Mick. How's it going? It's hot here in Texas, I can tell you that. Triple digits, and you kind of get numb to it after a while. I hate to say that, but it's really true. Got 8 people up here. How are you all doing? Thanks for joining. Just trying to wind down a bit here today. Been a busy week for a lot of reasons, and really trying to wind down to get get some energy for the weekend. Going to a ball game on Sunday. See the Rangers play. I think the Marlins, Texas Rangers, and I love baseball. It's probably my favorite sport. I grew up playing it. Just a big fan. My dad was a huge Chicago Cubs fan. We lived in the Chicago area, so we saw a lot of Cubs games. And yeah, there's nothing like seeing a ball game at Wrigley Field in Chicago back in the day. Hello, Wyoming, Dave. How are you, my friend? We've been trading jabs against each other recently, just for good fun, and he's a great guy. Anybody wants to come up, I did put the StreamYard up here to join if you want to. Well, I released a video on the UHQR tonight. Actually, it's doing really well. I had a lot of views and comments. It's complicated. I guess it's back to that old relationship thing. It's complicated. So, not in the spirit of just saying, "Hey, go watch my video," but there's kind of layers to the situation and the outcome and what it's like and what my final analysis end up being on it. I mean, it's not the ooh ah, sounds so much crisper, brighter. It just is a different way of looking at improving the sound of a recording in a way. And so you got to get past your first impressions. I think if you don't listen to the OG or don't have it or whatever, I really think it's easier to warm up to. Oh, Renza, how are you? Thanks for joining. So I think it's easier to do that. So yeah, thanks. Yeah. So uh, you know, the bottom line for me, let me put it to you this way, okay, guys? I mean, you guys are here spending time with me, and here's the test of it. After I did this video, it's 20-minute video, and I did all the work to do the prep this week, literally since Monday. After I had dinner, the first thing I did after dinner was actually listen to the UHQR again. So maybe that tells you something. But, I mean, I think we've gotten used to kind of an out of the box way of reacting to and expecting a reissue to sound and an audiophile improvement. Hey there, Paul. Yeah, so I think, so we kind of set ourselves up a bit. And honestly, like I told Chad Cassim, who I did talk to about this mastering in the last few days, we've been talking. So I mean, I have a little bit more insight, maybe than the average bear in that regard, and hopefully that adds some value and perspective for you all to understand and to know. Uh, but for me, I really just I had the same reaction most people I think do, especially when you're doing shootouts and you're doing comparisons. You can become very fickle a bit. You can come very expecting certain things. Hey there, Music Sanctuary. Thanks for joining in this evening. Appreciate it. We can become very stuck in a certain level of expectation. And as I told Chad, I said, the truth is, in some ways you're a victim of your own success in the sense that I think the Can't Buy a Thrill was such a dynamic kind of pressing and opening up of what's there. Um, we're talking to Colorado. How's it going up there in Cripple Creek? Hey, I lived in Colorado for a couple of years in the Denver area and enjoyed it very much. I really want to go up there, not necessarily that area per se, but I mean just the whole, Colorado Springs and just being by the mountains. I loved it. But anyway, I digress. In talking to him about it, it's just there's certain things about the original and about the way it is and the way it was done that makes you either go after beating it or really like I say being aggressive about it because there's so much more to wring out of the rag, so to speak, the wash rag, to get that last bit of great sound and water out of it. And then there's some, I think that, you look at it and you go, man, I don't know that what's in that rag. I got some issues with what's in that rag in the first place. Do I want to tweak it in a way that, boosts it all over the place and start, what's really my impression of what's there and what can I do with it from a mastering standpoint in order to make it feel better. And I mean to feel the feeling I get from it as opposed to just the sounds that I hear, you know. So, that's kind of what this really was up against, in my opinion. And I had to get through the first, listen, and I had to get through the fact that there were reviews that already had come up, you know. Yeah, no, he didn't. He didn't give it a review. He didn't give it. Michael Fremer didn't give it a great review. Um, I think he made the comment in it. If you like the way Ricky "Don't Lose That Number" sounds as the first track, then you'll probably like the rest of the album. And I think what he's saying, frankly, and it's not that song. It's just that it's the first song. What he was saying basically is if the sound that's there as it compares to what you're used to hearing or the original or whatever is okay for you, then the rest of the album will be okay because it's kind of that way across the board. And that's accurate. I think that's accurate. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, the Mofi will be, I think Mofi will, the Hotel California will be released the 18th, I think, of August. So, that's my information that I have. Uh, yeah, they're trying to, I think, go at getting some volume with these represses and re-releases and things to get volume because these places are not selling what they were in terms of volume at all. Because the bubble burst and COVID, went, that whole bubble went, prices went up, inflation occurred, which affected your, disposable spending. So they're in a bit of a tiff. And I mean, They and VMP both have plants they're building, which is a huge expense, and they're both having, they're both in states that are not exactly new business friendly as much as other states. More litigation, more permitting, more environmental issues. So, I mean, there's a whole thing that's going on related to that. Yeah, yeah. The lawsuit is kind of its own animal. I think that they they do have funding that usually you pay for insurance and things that cover some of that. I think that's more. It's more of a distraction to them, time wise and effort wise. But reputation wise, obviously, that's what really affected them. And of course, it really didn't help the industry as a whole, audiophile industry stuff. Here you got Chad coming out with UHQRs for Steely Dan, and they're $25 more than they had been. And most of that reasoning, if not all that reasoning, has to do with the licensing that had to be put up front and added to their cost portfolio, which they pass most of that along to the customer, of course, because it's a premium contract. So you're getting a premium product. I did not pre-order the Love Supreme, to be honest with you, but in fairness, I'm not a huge jazz fan, so those don't, they don't tickle my ivory, so to speak. To be honest with you, but I'm curious what you people think. I mean, I don't know why, but it just seems like a lot of these things are like redux, regen. They just keep the same titles, kind of keep flowing over and over again, and I I I have that album. I think it's, to be honest, I think it's a Walmart blue, that I just to have it kind of thing, and I got it for $15, I think. So just to have it in the catalog, so to speak. But I'm not going to be spending any premium dollars or doing any shootouts on jazz, to be honest. And the reason is, I mean, that's not who I am. That's not what my real strength is. So I don't want to. I say try to kid anybody, but I don't want to. I am who I am, and that's not exactly who I am. So I wouldn't go there at all. Yeah, Hotel California. I have not heard a pressing of Hotel California that has impressed me, and I mean from day one. It's one of those that I believe there's more in that tape than we've ever gotten. I really believe it. It's got to be one of those. I just do believe that, and I really hope they hit it out of the park. I really do. Both for the industry, for them, for us. I think that would be a great thing to happen. So I'm looking forward to that one quite a bit. But again, my sources, I'm hearing the 18th of August will be the release date. I better check and see somebody to tell me that was a Sunday. No, it's Friday. That's what I figured. Usually Friday. So we'll see. I mean, it was a fairly decent source. So was it a source that I would take to the bank? Maybe some money, but not three figures. but and that's more, frankly, that's more because Mofi than it is for my source, because I think you know they're a little unpredictable in my opinion. But back to the Steely Dan, it was a very interesting review. Probably the most interesting shootout I've ever done. Easily the most interesting. And it had the aura of this whole thing that happened beforehand with Fremer's review out of the box. He got he got his a few days before it even was released. And then some of the other things that have come up in the reviews in the Facebook groups and on Hoffman and all this, and people. But it's going to be an expensive month. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it could be. So and talking to Chad about it, then really, it was some interesting conversations this week with him. Obviously, I think Fremer has pretty well been found positive things to say about uh, the um, the products from Analog Productions and the UHQRs. So this one was a bit of the review that Fremer did was a bit of a surprise when the sound was a 7. At first I did a double take. I thought I'd read them backwards. I thought maybe the material, the actual album, he was given a 7 and he was given a 9 to the sound, but it wasn't. It was the other way around. He said the sound was a 7. So obviously that really caught me off guard a bit, as it did, I think, a lot of people. And I know Nathan, who does a lot of reviews on the Analog Productions uh, enthusiast site on Facebook, and I've been on with panels with Steve Westman. He and I have similar, I think, taste, and we have similar findings when we come to things. And I read his. As a matter of fact, I got to give him credit. The little thing I put in my thumbnail I used it because it reminded me of what he had in fact put into his write up, like kind of what happened here, kind of a thing, And so you got a question here. I have heard it. I haven't compared it. It probably ranks among the best I've heard of it, to be honest with you. But I still was left with God, there's got to be more in that tape feeling with it. So it will be very interesting. Now, I honestly don't have it. I had a friend that had it, and I listened to theirs. Um, and this has been a while, to be honest with you, as well, time wise. But again, at the time, I thought, yeah, I mean, because the Japanese I've hadn't heard, the German I've hadn't heard. I have an OG, obviously US. I've heard some, and and I don't know if it's just me. I'm always curious. Some of the higher end, I say higher end, some of the Japanese CDs, the HRM CDs, for example, they sounded actually probably the best of anything I've heard, even though they're digital. So that gives me a little hope for the Mofi, right? Going to DSD 256 to deliver that. And I know, I mean, I'm sure, let's I say I know, I'm sure that Mofi knows that particular album, like Asia for Steely Dan and Analog Production, is the one that's going to get the most scrutiny and is the one that's going to be put your name, in the headlines kind of thing for that release. So you gotta, I say hit it out of the park, but I mean, you gotta really deliver the goods, I guess I'm going to say. So, so so to me, everything I've ever heard of Hotel California, it just seems a little lackluster, not as aggressive, or else call it, or not as poignant as I think the material is, and so that's my reasoning for saying what I'm saying about it. And again, I'm looking for that. I'm looking for that big time home run that will in fact deliver the goods on that, right? That's for sure. Anyway, so that's what's going on with that. I'm working on a shootout with the Captain and me, the Doobie Brothers, doing a Speaker's Corner versus a Nautilus Half Speed versus the OG. I did a minute by minute one here recently. I just starting to go back through some of my Speaker's Corner stuff and trying to give them some visibility because I think they've done really good work. Now the minute by minute, I honestly picked the Nautilus a bit. I thought it was a little bit better in the sense that I thought that the Speaker's Corner had a tad of a little bit of a boost on the bottom, which was a little bit more than I like. But if you like that, then the Speaker's Corner minute by minute is a good value. It's like $35 at acousticsounds.com. So, did I like? Yes, I loved them actually. With honestly, the first album, the debut, and One of These Nights, those two of the four so far being the most outstanding. And frankly, to be honest with you, the two I probably like the most out of those four. I'm not a huge fan of Desperado and On the Border's like okay, but I really like One of These Nights. I really like the debut album. It's one of my top 10 albums for sure. And I honestly never thought the OG could be beat. I've had the OG, which is a white label, Asylum, not a promo, but when the Asylum label was white initially. And I've had that. I bought that, I think, on the release day. I mean, I'd heard Take It Easy on the radio before the album came out, and I had to have it. And it has always sounded just fabulous. I mean, that first hit of the guitar right, at the beginning of that, just, very powerful. The beginning drums of Witchy Woman, very powerful on the OG. Well, it's better on the Mobile Fidelity, and there are things in there. The background vocals just come to life, really come to life. The banjo, Bernie leading on the banjo, my God. I mean, it's like you want to look over and say, is somebody sitting in a chair by my speaker? I mean, I'm not exaggerating at all. I mean, that is really what it sounds like. As much as I love Can't Buy a Thrill and the UHQR, I would say that the one audiophile release that has been the most surprising and the one that really blew me away the most was in fact the Eagles' debut album on the Mofi One Step. It was just I don't know how to put it. It was just shocking. Shocking is the word, I guess. Really shocking, because as I went into the songs more and more, I heard more and more things I really maybe knew were there, but never really heard profoundly before. And it's a revelation. I mean, it's more of a revelation than anything else. So if you don't have that one, if you like the first album and you don't have that one, you should try to pick one up. I don't know what they're doing on the used market. I don't think they're available new. I think they sold out, but I would think with the scandal and all, they probably are not hard to find and probably not expensive on the secondary market as well. So take a shot if you like that album. That one I endorse 1,000%, as I do One of These Nights. And One of These Nights, and that's one. To be honest, One of These Nights, I always thought there was more there than we were able to get. And I've got a lot of copies of that, including the 4-channel, the CD4 LP version of that. And I always felt like there was more to be wrung out of that tape with One of These Nights. And sure enough, the Mofi One Step did just that, in my opinion at least. And so if they can do with Hotel California what they've done up to now, I think everybody will be very, very happy, to be honest with you. So I have high hopes that they will. And we get back to, how are things recorded in the first place, and what is the opportunity when you remaster it, which is the whole discussion really around the Pretzel Logic UHQR. Because I even went and bought the Geffen $30 release of Pretzel Logic, which is the a digital high-res file that Bernie, who has the master, obviously he has the master because he's making the Analog Productions one, is he has that he gives the high res file to the mastering engineers chosen by Universal. Alex Abrash is who did Pretzel Logic, same guy that did Can't Buy a Thrill, didn't do Countdown, but so they deliver that high res file, and then that guy masters it and does whatever he does to it. So I think they really they created a kind of like the Can't Buy a Thrill. They created a hot, compressed version of the original that has some digital artifacts in it. But if you like your sound hot, and I think I made the comment in the video, this sounds like something that'd be great for AM radio, be even good for FM radio. I mean, having a little bit of that compression in there. But if you really want, to hear, distinctions and sounds and, the real sweetness of what is in there, it's a little busy for that, I guess I'm going to say, lacking a better opinion here or that, or way to put it, I guess. There you go. Thanks, Music Sanctuary. So yeah, thanks. So what do we got here? Charlie. New UHQR news was Charlie, I'm assuming you mean the announcement today, the Miles Davis. Is that what you're speaking of? Just to be clear, I'm not double sure if you're talking about the UHQR or Steely Dan or that. There's Michael Nolan. Hey, buddy. Yeah, thanks, Michael. We're trying to keep cool. The AC's having a little bit of trouble. It's 106 outside. They usually say your AC can give you a reduction in temp of about 20 to 25 degrees. So if it's 25 degrees and it's 106, that's 81 in the house. So that gives you a great idea. So, Michael, I got to ask you, I watched your video, of course, on the Beatles Red and Blue and commented as well. But I'm curious, has it been officially announced? I've had my head down so deep in this UHQR review that I've kind of not. I'm seeing more videos about it, but has Apple or the Beatles.com released anything? To say yes, this is what it is. It's 2 LP or 3 LP, and here's what it's going to contain, or even press release that it is happening and give a date, Oh, thanks, Charlie, for confirming. That's what I thought. Yeah, I was underwhelmed by that myself. But again, as I said, I'm not a big jazz fan, so to be honest, that's not surprising for me to say. But even the title that was chosen, and I don't know a lot about these titles. I mean, it's a familiar one that I know is popular for that artist and whatever. But it's always nice. Well, like the Steely Dan catalog, it's never really been re-released, so that's fresh in the sense that it's new. So, yeah. One Step versus You, boy, that's just like a. Obviously, technically, it's different. I mean, in the fact that I've had releases of both that I've liked and some that I haven't liked. So I'll just put it that way to you. It's on a case by case basis. I think some. I will say this. I think with Clarity Vinyl, the type of stylus you have has a greater impact on whether you consider it quiet or hear it as quiet or not. That seems to be something that I've kind of started to recognize is there. Some of these better, finer type stylists, the Shibatas and microlines and that, they get down deeper. And sometimes it seems like maybe there's a difference there in terms of what kind of noise you pick up on. So that's now I don't have either of those. I still use elliptical. I'm looking to move to a microline. maybe a Shibata. I do have one Shibata that I use for CD4 albums to decode through demodulation the four channels from the 70s LPs. But it's an older Audio Technica AT 12 or 14S. So I don't really play it on my new stuff anyway. So let's see what my buddy Michael. The only official notice other than independent channels came from Penn and Teller, which I did see on your channel, talked about. After talking with Giles Martin. Yeah, okay. So, yeah. It's an interesting choice. It's I don't know. I feel like it's kind of out of sequence. I feel like it's forcing this extra song that's being done. And don't even get me started talking about whether it's AI or not. I'm not, because I've got a computer background too. So I really don't want to go there. But yeah, thanks. You've had the most definitive with talking about Penn saying that. So maybe Steve Westman, when he gets back from a vacation, can get a scoop from Giles Martin. Never know. Would Mofi or AP be more likely to? Well, let me put it. Let's look at this logically. I mean, let's talk about this just a hair. So, Pink Floyd is kind of independent, but isn't it somewhat under Sony? And so, anything Sony is much more like. I shouldn't say that totally, but there's a better chance that a Sony type title or product would go to Mofi, only because Sony is DSD and they use DSD. So there's some, I don't want to call it nepotism, but I mean, there's some relationship there. And so, they have maybe I'll call it a potential inside track. Now, and they've done a lot of digital releases, obviously, with a lot of the 2016s that came out with Pink Floyd. So they've been down that road. But if Pink Floyd or the label or the management company wanted to really take a different approach to go all analog, then I think, of course, they'd have to go to Analog Productions. So it's kind of like, do you want to create a new buzz? Do you want to create a new possibility? I think they would be better off to go to Analog Productions to do that, because, there's going to be a lot of been there, done that's a bit, with using digital on Pink Floyd. So now, Beatles, you got the whole thing with the Beatles and the Abbey Road studios, and those are now digitized. And, you got contractually, I don't know what's going on there. It's an Apple, it's a whole, that's its own spider web in and of itself. I would think that I honestly couldn't see him on Mofi. I don't know why I'm just saying that. Just a gut instinct, visceral reaction. I just can't see him on Mofi. I just couldn't see that happening at all. And I honestly I don't think I could see Zeppelin on Mofi either as well. I don't know. I think that just doesn't seem like a fit. And I got to say, honestly, reputationally, I'm not sure, if they'd want to float that boat with what happened. There is some branding damage that occurred because of that. And I don't think that's worn off. And it affected the whole industry, honestly. I think everybody kind of stepped back, and kind of went, whoa, okay, we were paying all this money for a record, and now, it created that pause. And about, the time that pause got created, we got hit with this really large inflation that we hadn't been used to. We'd been down, 1% inflation for years. Inflation used to ride, 3%, 7%. It used to ride. Sometimes it went way high. My first house loan in 1981 was 17%. So, it's a bit all over. But we had a long period where it was very low. So this thing was a pretty big trajectory. And it hit about the same time as that. And I just think it created this whole whoa kind of feeling in the industry somewhat as a whole. Hello, Chance. How are you, my friend? The controversial win in the Prime Analogs record concert. Have you lawyered up yet for the lengthy battle ahead? Wyoming Dade is piping mad. Oh, well, I was as shocked as anybody that I won that thing, to be honest with you. And I can report that the money is in my account. So it did actually happen. Tell me how you feel about it. Yeah. Well, I'm one of those people. I feel like I don't win things that often, to be honest, when I enter things. So it was, as I said, a shock to me as anybody. Well, you know what it did? It paid for this Steely Dan Pretzel Logic on Geffen that I hadn't planned to buy, honestly. But the reason I bought it is a lot of people, when these reviews started coming out, I kept seeing people ask, I wonder how that sounds. Which, okay, it makes good sense. How does it sound? And by the way, what's interesting, let me grab something real quick here. In fairness, I got to admit, I bought this on Amazon. I don't usually buy through Amazon, but I honestly wanted to save the gas of driving to a local record store. It was $5 cheaper, and I could get it, the next morning. I got it, So Amazon now this is the way I think they get the record, and then they are throwing this in one of their bigger boxes. So, let's waste some cardboard, I guess, but they don't label this thing. They actually put this in another box. I'm not here to, but my point is they don't just throw the album in a Amazon box. So anyway, so it paid for that. So I guess it went to the cause. Okay. So I'm not out eating a steak dinner, Wyoming Day, but if you're ever here in Dallas, I'll buy you a steak dinner. There's Dave. He's coming up.
Hey,
all right.
How you doing, David?
How are you, buddy?
I'm okay.
Good. You ready for a steak dinner if you come to Dallas?
Sure. Yeah.
Why not?
I didn't even enter, what's it, Matt Prime Alex. I didn't enter this contest at all anyway, so I'm not upset.
When will we see a room tour? Thanks, Christopher. As soon as I get it reorganized, honestly, I'm just in the middle of making some changes to the room, and I had an unplanned trip I needed to take last week, or part of a trip. It was extended, and then I've got some health issues with my mother-in-law we're dealing with, so I'm just not able to do quite what I want to from a timing perspective. But as they say in The Wizard of Oz, all in good time, all in good time. See what Michael Nolan's saying. There's Chance, and yeah, he's been busy lately. Yeah, well, Chance is moving a bit from where he lives, so he's got that whole reboxing thing going.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can you see me and hear me okay, decently?
I can see you and hear you okay. I can see you and hear you.
You're
looking dapper as always.
This webcam's a few years old, but I guess it still works.
Hey, it's younger than you. Come on, don't worry about it. So how are things in Wyoming? Cool or?
Today we got cool. It rained some, and we only got high 70, so it was cooler today.
Yeah, yes, for sure. Yeah, Michael Nolan is certainly doing some great videos, no doubt about that. Thanks, Michael. Yeah, mine is, she's 88. So yeah, she moved here a couple of years ago from Indianapolis, or in Lafayette area, actually, Indiana. So it's just us. My wife's the only one here. Some of her sisters and brother have been here to visit because her condition, is going downhill. So I appreciate the thought, Michael. But
hey, David.
Yeah, yes, sir.
I kind of was halfway paying attention to some of the first show. You said the UHQR Pretzel Logic sounds pretty good, correct?
Well, it sounds. I think on the whole, it does sound very good to me now
Yep.
that I've listened to it some and really gotten to kind of feel the music as opposed to just say A B. Is it better than, crisper than, the original? Because the original was never a really great recording in my opinion, or I've never, and I have a quad version that probably is the best one
Oh,
of it.
cool.
And
Yeah.
it's a little softer and a little more mellow. It's not as brittle. And I think the thing is when you put the UHQR on and you have the OG in your brain, the first thing you think is, what happened to the top end?
Mhm.
And there have
Yeah.
even been people on Hoffman who have done some spectral analysis. The high ends rolled off at 16,000 hertz. You
Yeah,
know,
I'm kind of behind.
yeah.
I've never bought
So,
any of the analog production stuff at all yet. So
well,
yeah,
yeah. Well, you're probably richer for it, but
yeah.
I have not heard the new Zappa release. Awesome. Well, good. You mean I'm thinking? Do you mean new Zappa or do you mean reissued Zappa? Music Sanctuary. I keep on waiting for someone to bring up Waters' version of. Wait a minute. Is this a tongue in cheek? The fact that I put a rant video out on on Roger Waters. Maybe he's making the point there, but if you didn't know, I did put out a rant video about Roger Waters on my channel, which I think is probably my first rant video. So I usually don't really go there, but oh well, some things just finally. I literally was I couldn't sleep at night because I was thinking. I don't know why I was thinking about that. I just and I had to literally make the video for cathartic reasons to
Yeah.
quit thinking about it because it was kind of like I knew I needed to do it, and
Can,
yeah,
hey, can I
yeah,
ask you? I've
sure.
never. Have you ever? I've heard people how people buy from the. It's that foreign company, Music on Vinyl. You've heard of them,
Oh yeah,
MOV.
oh
Do
yeah.
they sound? Does stuff sound pretty good? Those records too.
Well, here's
MOV.
here's what I'll tell you. I've got a lot of MOV. MOV titles that are made of a release that was originally done like in the 90s and beyond or late 80s that's digital, they usually sound very good. They don't do as well converting an analog original source to digital. So I have been disappointed by some of the things where they had redone something that never was digital in the first place,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
the stuff that's digitally original that way they're good. Their packaging is excellent, excellent packaging. So that's kind of, and of course there's always exceptions, but I'd say 90-10, literally 90% to 10. That's what you find with them.
I never
And
even heard of that company just till the last few before till the
really,
last few months. I
oh
mean,
no, they've been around a
well,
while.
yeah, till
Yeah,
recently, yeah,
yeah,
past 3 months. And the
yeah, they
Speaker's
do.
Corner, I never heard of till recently either.
Yeah, and I've got,
Yeah.
man, I've got, it's funny you say that. I mean, this whole area here is nothing but music on vinyl.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, nothing. Like the Alan Parsons stuff,
Right.
they're the only ones who've released these later albums of Alan Parsons.
Hmm.
This is called On Air. This is an excellent album. And it was digitally recorded, so it sounds great.
Yeah.
You know,
Cool.
another Alan Parsons, Try Anything Once. They're the only ones that have released it.
Oh, I'm
The only
cool.
ones. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I've got a ton of music on vinyl. So, what what I say, I guess, comes from at least some experience. I can say, you know, Paul said he likes MOV. Most have sounded very nice. I notice a polished sound to them, if that's the right word. No, it's a fair word. I mean, I'd say that. I think the pressings are generally, good quality. I think pretty much A lot of I'm trying to think. Is it Optimal? I'm trying to think of who does theirs because I got it wrong one time on a stream, and I can't. It's out of Europe. I know that. And a
Mhm.
lot of
Oh,
times,
yeah.
a lot of times their release, what they do is they release it first in like a colored vinyl limited edition, and then they'll come out with the black regular after that. Um, Typically, like their Forrest Gump soundtrack double album. It's real good.
Top 10.
We need a top
Yeah.
10. I did a top 10 video. I did a top 10 video on my channel, actually. 10 records that I listened to most, I think, was what the one I did, which is what they were having, in the community. People were asking, to put up a video on that. So I did do that.
I did one of those finally.
Okay, yeah.
I,
So
I need to watch. Yeah, bunch of people.
record industry. Thank you, Christopher. Yeah, that's the place that makes those. Record industry. And I think they're DMM cuts, if I remember right.
Direct metal
I
mastering.
think they're DMM cuts, yeah. So, yeah. So, yeah. Anybody wants to come up, you're more than welcome to do so. With Dave here, I'll put up the link in case. I've never had Mr. Noland up here. I've wanted to. We miss each other a lot on email and things like that. Yeah, same plant ERC uses. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The same plant. So. Yeah. So Music on Vinyl's been around quite a while. They're. I don't want to say they're hard to find, but it's tricky to find them.
Yeah.
It's not like every store gets them. They have their distribution's a little awkward in the U.S.
That's what you get for living in smaller towns. You don't see those
Yeah.
titles. You don't see music come
No,
out of
no.
Walmart.
I live in Dallas, and you don't see them much. So
Oh, yeah.
no. That's what I mean. It's a weird. I mean, your problem is generic. I mean, this. I'm talking even in bigger places. It's hard to find them. Mom always told me the Forrest Gump song was like a box of chocolates. Yeah. And so here's a funny story. So everybody knows Chad. They ship those. They ship their stuff in these big boxes, right? It's got a handle on it. And everything. Acoustic sounds are really.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever seen one, Dave?
Well, when Chance sent me some.
So he's set it in
Well,
one
no,
of those.
he sent me an album packed in one of those.
Okay.
Uh,
So
analog
thi-
production box.
yeah. So this comes. Yes, it came when? When did it come yesterday? Yeah, it came yesterday. So it was sitting in a UPS truck or FedEx truck for most of the day.
The
And so
Beatles.
when I got the box, I got it within a few minutes of the dropping it, but laying it at my front door. And front door area was in the shade. I grabbed it and the box was warm, like a pizza warm. It was fairly
yeah,
warm.
yeah.
So I opened the box, and then the actual, the UHQR box, better known as Mazzy's favorite thing, that box was warm. I pulled out the records. The records were warm.
Ooh, that's no
Not
good.
hot, but they were warm.
That's
They were warm. And yeah. Yeah, so I would have come up, but I got you. Rain check, sure, anytime, buddy. Yeah, yeah. Thanks. No, and I sometimes I'm not in a place where I could join you and Royce, for example. Yeah, I like to watch those as well. Now, everybody knows, right, that this box is controversial. Very controversial. And I didn't even look at what number I had, so I guess I'm going to let you know what number I have. Because it wasn't on the outside. It's on the outside if it's, I think, 1,000 or less. Oh, 1108. So I missed the cut. So the only way you're going to know is by looking at the actual record, the gatefold. So this, so the two LPs that they put in for this in the QRP sleeves, I don't have them there by my turntable. They actually put those into an outer sleeve now, so that those two can't move around inside there, which I thought was a nice, little touch, to keep things together in there. So, delivery vans are easy bake ovens in a way. Yeah, yeah, easy bake ovens. Yeah.
That's true.
So yeah, so they are. I was really, I was a little surprised at the records themselves. After that kind of boxing, they were warm. I was a little bit surprised.
They weren't warped, were they?
No, they weren't warped in any way, but I can't say they were perfectly flat.
Oh, yeah.
They had a little bit of, the ride wasn't along the edge. The ride was a little more in the interior, to be honest, but it wasn't much at all. I mean, but it wasn't dead flat either. It was pretty dead quiet, which is what I care about. So, that's a good thing. So but this this environment right now is not a great environment for records to be left on the porch. I saw a guy who had a FedEx box sitting out on his mailbox in the sun. Just a FedEx guy just laid it on top. They bring it to our door, which I'm very grateful for, actually.
Yeah, true.
Hey, Robert, I like that idea. You can fit all your other copies in there and save space. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I got 3 other copies, I guess. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. 3 other copies. So it might be a little tight in there. Might be a little tight. But you got a great point. That is a great point. I like that. That's good thinking. That's what we need, creative thinking. What to do with that box. I think we're going to have Massey's coffin shaped kind of like that box with that rounded edge on each end. Oh, no. Just kidding, guys. Was QC better in the 60s and 70s? I'm thinking back. What I'm thinking back to, honestly, is how many times I had to return a record. And frankly, back then, if I returned a record, it was more for skipping than anything else. So I would say that that could have been an issue of, not cleaning records back then, and, having maybe some bits of vinyl in the grooves and, those kind of things. So they were higher production outputs at the time. Certain plants were better than others, like, CBS, Columbia Santa Maria in California was one of the best plants. They even used some virgin vinyl at times. They were, above and beyond many of the other Columbia plants, like Terre Haute, Indiana, for example. So the quality issues I had back then were, really most times related to skipping. And I don't hear that a lot now, where people say, oh, and I'm not talking Led Zeppelin 2 with the RL, super pumped. It was just generically there was skipping. Now, was some of that maybe the inferior equipment that it was played on? Potentially that too, yes, that too. But usually, when you take it to the store back then, they'd play it as well. And if it's skipped there, then, and I'd say almost always it's skipped there too. So it was just a different kind of issues.
Yeah, I learned a lot. I learned a lot of stuff from you and Patrick, the Violent Archivist, about different pressing plants a little bit.
Yeah.
And stuff.
Yeah. I would say people are pickier now. I say pickier. They're more well informed. They have higher expectations. We take the album, throw it on the turntable, hit go, and automatic changer would play it, and you just,
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was just a little bit of a different thing. Now, as I became more of an audiophile, yeah, I got pickier. There's no doubt. But my equipment improved too. So he said the Music Sanctuary mail comes to a post office outdoor metal mailbox, and the mail sits for hours in the sun during the summer. Needless to say, I don't order records via mail during the summer
Well, that's
months.
a good idea. It's kind of
Yeah, no, that's yeah. I talked to Chad well yesterday, day before, and I said, I said I'm being real honest with him. I said when Asia comes out,
wage.
I'm driving up to Saline, Kansas, and I am gonna get mine put in my hand.
Cool.
I, I, I'm gonna be there on the what is it the 29th?
In
Twenty
August.
ninth, 29th of August. No,
Hmm,
September.
cool.
Of September.
So,
29th
yeah,
September.
cool.
So I'm going to get there on the 28th and I will be back. I will have it to my house faster than FedEx can.
Cool.
7-hour drive. So I will be doing with that and Gaucho both. So
Gacho's coming out on the
December
UH.
1st. December 1st.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So those are high expectation releases. And as you know, the count of the month they're pressing for Asia's the highest count that they're doing. It's the only one that they're doing, and a bigger lot size of. So because the demand they expect obviously to be higher for that album. So you'll see that one's going to get a lot of scrutiny obviously in the market because of it kind of being a reference record and probably their most popular title, I would say. I don't commercially, I'm not sure numerically, but I know that sound wise and the hits off of that one are more well known. So
Peg was one of
yeah,
the hits off that.
yeah, Deacon Blues, yeah. So it's that one's going to be very
Really
interesting.
take the black cow and get out of here or something.
Yeah, right.
Like
Yeah. Yeah, he's in the middle. He's already got, I guess, the test pressing selected for that one, and he was telling me it's because it's a copy tape. That one and Gaucho are a one-off copy of the OG of the original source. That was the best that was available. Um, so he thinks that they really are gonna that it really is gonna be the standard for that one. So I hope he's right. I hope he's right. And yeah, I'm gonna try. Actually, I'm gonna try to go up there before even that release comes out. And I've got another couple of plants I'm trying to get to, but it's people are busy. I mean, it's hard to get people to. You gotta go at people multiple times to really get people engaged. Now, once you've got them and you're communicating, usually it's fine. But that initial thing, I think there's a lot of people, coming at them for, interviews or whatever. And I guess Mike from the End Groove is going to have an interview. Is it this Sunday with the guy from Rhino? And I guess I'm assuming the announcement's going to be the new High Fidelity, what's going to come out for this quarter and their High Fidelity release, like the Cars was last time.
Oh yeah.
Now there's a subtle irony, in my opinion, if that gets announced on Mike's channel because Mike can't sell them. So, but yeah, that's apparently what we're gonna potentially hear there. They're about due to, because the good thing is usually once they announce, they make them available, so you can go and order it right then and there. So I'm certainly hoping that happens that way, like it did with the Cars, because that was a nice change, to have it announce it, go on the site, order it, ship it, not announce it and 3 years later, where the hell is it? Or whatever. I mean, Mofi's been, I can't tell you how many times I read something, somebody will go, such and such record just showed up today, and I forgot all about it because I ordered it 2 years ago.
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah. It's And what really gets to be problematic about that sometimes is you put your credit card in maybe, and maybe it's expired since then. So then they go to transact it and it goes, you know. So then they got to get hold of you, and then so I mean, it won't probably ship right away. It won't ship as quickly as it could have or would have. So there's that whole model of the way they do that is kind of weird. So yeah, it's a crazy place, this vinyl industry. But definitely things are has cooled off pretty tremendously in terms of sale. And I've bought some stuff recently that Acoustic Sounds had on sale, even some SACDs and 5.1 stuff. So I bought Seeds of Love by Tears for Fears. It's
Yeah.
multi-channel and that was like a $90 disc. It was like $50. So I mean, you know, some of these things, I think they're selling it under what their cost is, even, to be honest with you, to get inventory flipped, because it takes up space and you pay tax on inventory. So, there's a great example right there,
5
right?
years.
Waited 5
Wow.
years. Yeah, I've got the
It's way
I've
too
got the,
long.
well, I've got the 2x45, but it isn't the latest one. It was the first time they released it, and so the question actually becomes, Charlie, were you amused to death for waiting 5 years? How amusing was that? You could have died before you ever got it. Yeah, I wonder. You think about us vinyl collectors, right? We got pre-orders out there, and we die, and our wives go, "Why are the records still coming? Why are the records still coming? He's dead." I can just see, Mazzy's house is going to have these stack of records, showing up. If he croaks, nobody's going to be there to go get them, and
Hey, David.
yeah.
I heard about. Are you going to go to that? I heard some people talk about some. You live in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, the record show.
September, October, or something.
Yep, September 30th, October 1st and 2nd. Yes, I will be there.
So you get to meet some people. That's cool.
Yeah.
Like.
Well, I met Chance in St. Louis here a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, did you? Cool.
Yeah, and I met Jason Rojas in Austin because I went to Tears for Fears concert and asked him if he had an interest in going, and he grabbed a ticket, so hung out with him.
Very cool.
And another guy in the VC, had dinner, and went to the concert. So it was a great time.
Right on. Cool.
So, but yeah, there'll be more people there beyond that. I know coming to that. That'll be a big show.
I don't know. Eddie Perez might go to that.
Yeah, well, he's in Houston, right?
No.
No.
Close to South. Eddie Perez is South Texas, someplace.
Okay.
I don't
Houston,
remember.
South Texas, but I don't know if he's.
I don't think it's Houston. Oh, I could be wrong, but I thought it was closer to.
Well, when I say Houston, I kind of mean that big Gulf Coast area, Galveston.
I could be wrong. I'm not sure where he lives.
Well, wherever he is, he must be a morning guy, because I don't see him on these things at night very often. I don't, at least.
Not your stream. He gets on like some people's Mr. Bizarro, Vinyl Archivist sometimes.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know how. I guess Vinyl Archivist did get shut down the other night. I guess I was watching, and then he had to he said, if I go again, then that's it. I'm done. Taylor Swift stands to gross over $1 billion on this tour, averaging $13.5 million per show. I wonder what McCartney thinks about that.
Jesus. Popular.
I read she gave her crew or trucking crew or whatever either $100,000 bonus or $100,000 a year increase in pay. So one of the two here recently.
I bet.
So she's, you know what I mean? She's taking care of her people, and she's, I mean, I give her a lot of credit for that, not just hoarding it all. But yeah, she's, she, it reminds me of, the way, what happened with the Beatles in terms of impact. Now, musically, obviously, it's very different, but my point is just raw, mass appeal and impact, and every hitting on all cylinders, right? Everything going right, dominating the charts. I mean, all of those things. She's right in there.
Be right back.
Yeah, sure. So it's yeah, I give her a lot of credit. My my son's just my youngest son who has Down syndrome. He's 23. He just Taylor Swift. He's fascinated with Taylor Swift totally, and everything Taylor.
Here's an album I bought recently. Don't laugh.
Oh my God.
Has some good pop songs on it. Anyway.
I saw a meme on Facebook today said I would rather do this than go to see the Barbie movie, and it was a guy putting Tabasco sauce in his eye.
Who knows if I'll ever see the movie, but it has some good music.
Oh, you haven't seen the movie, huh?
Nope, I haven't seen the movie.
Okay.
If it gets on DVD for free, I might rent it.
Oh yeah, sure. Apparently she is. It's 50 rigs, yeah, hauling her gear. Yeah, it's a massive show.
Yeah, songs by Dua Lipa, Billie Eilish.
Well, you got to think about it. They've got to rent the venue for a day or two before, and well, at least one day after, for building that thing up and taking it down. From what I understand, so it's not just renting the venue for the concert dates like most people. They've got a huge. Oh wow! It looks like Barbie got her lipstick and her eye, all that shit on there. Look at that.
Yeah.
Man, oh man. Can't that woman control her makeup? Jeez. Wow. That's just unbelievable. I wonder what Ken thinks about all this. Has anybody heard of a Ken movie coming out?
No, I haven't.
Huh? I think we need a Ken movie. We need equal time. It's great becoming a minority, isn't it? Getting overrun here. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, that movie gets a lot of has a lot of discussion, I guess, in the last few weeks. Let's put it that way.
Well, I know Nick Rudeau. Nick Rudeau has seen it. That's the only person I've seen.
Has the Wax seen it? Because he seems to think it's the Cat's Meow. I guess maybe because of the money it's making. But
I have no idea. I haven't asked him yet.
I don't know, but yeah, I mean,
country. He's gonna tease me for that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
His name Tim, the music sanctuary, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's not. Is it the YWCA guys? Is that he's talking about? Is he talking about the?
Oh, you know that
people, Macho Man.
No, Macho Randy Savage.
Okay.
Day.
Okay, yeah. Okay, that one. Okay.
You're talking about that.
Oh, that's right. Okay, I remember them talking about that. Yeah. So there you go. Yeah. Barbie will put you in the history books, right? Something like that. I don't know. She's always seemed a little plasticky to me. I don't know.
Hey, the album debuts in Billboard's top 10 this week, so it's selling good. Anyway.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. No, I have no doubt. Follow the merchandising, right? A lot of these things, that's where the money's really at, is in the merchandising. But
I know you were a music sanctuary. I know.
Oh, that's okay. It's good to joke around occasionally in this.
I like this newest StreamYard. You can exit completely out of it. You can make comments down here without old.
Yes, yeah, right, no. Exactly. Yeah, you used to have to be on the YouTube feed to make the damn comments. That was ridiculous.
I know. Now I can if I want to make comments.
Yeah, no, that was ridiculous. I agree. Yeah, StreamYard's pretty good platform for.
I never even heard this. I never even heard of StreamYard till I found Rachel's channel last October. I never knew
Mm-hmm.
about that either.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's you can use it's functional for free. Now it's not full featured, but it's
Mm.
functional for free, which is really I think that's pretty. And you can record up to I think an hour a thing you can do. So I mean, it's not just Lane. There's Jeffrey. Hey. Okay, let's see what he said. Enjoyed my vid on Steely Dan. Thank you. You shot the UHQR against the USOG in '79. Black Rainbow German. Okay. UHQR won hands down. Was so much more open. Was so much more punch. Okay. All right. Thanks, Jeffrey. I appreciate that. Yeah, I do.
Bob Call Classic, All Dream House, Michael Nolan.
What do you say now? Not a Swiftie at all. Talk about a Barbie. All plastic and all dream house. Yeah, but the problem is if you're a guy and you join her dream house, you're sure to be on her next album. So you got to be careful. I have Klipsch Forte 3s with 200-watt Rotel amp, and once cranked, I wasn't missing any top end. Lots of sparkle up top, but it is a bright system. Okay, Jeffrey, thanks. Yeah. Well, again, yeah, systems make a difference. Your cartridge makes a huge difference. Your speakers are the two things make the most huge difference. So, but yeah, I want to go back to your previous comment because I think it's I really appreciate the open and more punch. It was, yeah. I mean, it's you have to grow an appreciation for it. I think if when you walk in and you go, okay, here's the OG. Now, I want it to sound like that and then be a little more. And in this case, in some ways, it's a little less because you go, where's that top end? Where's this? It's a different experience. She's a kiss and teller for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, she's not a pen and teller. She's a kiss and teller. Oh, okay. I got you, Michael. Good one. Saw what you did there. So, yeah, yeah. I'm glad, Jeffrey, that you enjoy it, and I'm really glad to hear it. For Chad and the team because I mean, he, has been, he's kind of used to, frankly, you put one out and everybody loves it and you move on and everything. And this one, right out of the gate, Michael Fremer was down on it, gave it a 7 in sound, and I'm sure that was a bit of a gut punch, from what usually happens. But again, for me at least, perspective. I had to really get some perspective and think about it because, I know Chad, I know what he does, I know how he does it, and I'm thinking, there's a reason for this. There's something more to this that I'm just not picking up on, and I needed to, for me, once I listened to it on headphones, I immediately really got the aura of it a lot easier than I did just having come off comparing it flat out against the OG. That was a pretty rough transition. Whereas when I really listened to it on headphones, and then once I listened to it on speakers, cranked it up a bit, then it really came into focus, so to speak. Auditory focus, I'm going to call it. Too many Tims, so I rebranded myself with my Discog.
Yeah.
Okay. Tim P. Okay, great. Yeah, sometimes these names, yeah. Yeah, it's unless you're like Michael who says, "Hey, I'm Michael Nolan, the bottom line." Yeah, get in the tribe. Let's do it. Yeah, I love the little setup Michael has. With the lights and the TV behind it. I mean, it's just really, just yuck yuck. Yeah, yuck yuck. That's for sure. So good. So Jeffrey is on board with that UH. That's nice to hear. Usually you don't read that much variation or hear that much variation in people's opinions about things when it comes to these things. Just it isn't that. It's usually 95.5%. This has been 50-50, and the 50 negative has been a little louder. than the 50/50 on the good side. So yeah, soundstage was so much better. The band way more in the room, right? Tearing my hat off. Yeah, that. Yeah, okay, I love that. That's yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it was just, I don't know. The original was just didn't ever really set well with me. The quad really smoothed it out for me, and that's how I listened to that album for like 40 years. That's all I listened to was the quad. But you talk about tearing your head off. Get this one, man. If you're into getting your head tore off, get the Geffen digital. It's compressed and it's hot, and it's great for AM radio, like I said. And if you like that sound, that's a great value. That's all I can say. I mean, everybody likes a different sound. So I mean, I'm not here to. All I can do is tell you what I'm hearing, and then you decide. Like my minute by minute thing. It's like if you really like a little more bass, buy the Speaker's Corners. If you like it middle of the road, get the Nautilus. If you like it a little lighter on the bass and a little brighter, then get the OG. So it's a menu. Pick you off the menu. Which sound are you more endeared to? That's all I can say is that's what it is. I can't judge it one way or the other. Now, yeah, am I a little more cynical about some things? Sure. Because it's just the way it hits me. But when I see you say something like the OG tearing your head off a bit, that's yeah. I mean, that's a stronger words than I use, but I get what you mean. Totally. I get what you mean. And I hadn't even thought about, honestly, I hadn't even thought about the fact that I was avoiding that OG for all these years. I mean, it was like recollection came up. I'm like, I'm always listening to the quad. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember why. Because when I compared it when I first got them, I got them both the same time pretty much. I just really liked the quad a lot better, much more smooth. So I just kept listening to that. So, yeah, it's just the way it is. Speaking of quad, you've got a Doors quad, right?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Now, those are different mixes. Some of those sound a little different, don't they?
But, Hello, I Love You sounds definitely different from the original.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know that Riders on a Storm does. I think it's pretty, but there are a few. Lover Madly, I think, sounds a little different as well. I hate the Speaker's Corner on the Lou Reed because the bass is too much for me. I'm in the minority on that one, but we have different systems and preferences. But here's the thing: you're absolutely right. The bass is, yeah, I mean it's strong. It's very strong. But when you like listen to Walk on the Wild Side, that bass is kind of the heart in a way of the song, and you kind of it kind of immerses you a bit deeper in the song. But just as a general statement about the album, you're right. It has that deeper flavor as well. And for that album, for a lot of people, that gels more to what they want to hear. So I tend to like it on that one because it kind of fits the music a little more. Whereas on some others, it doesn't. So again, this is not an absolute or an exact science, right? Now, looking for records that are cheap, that's an exact science, right, Dave? That's
Right. Yeah.
that's a numbers game all day long. And it's getting harder to find good cheap records. So I don't know about in Wyoming, but it is here.
We even the Walmart here, a lot of albums are over $20 to 30.
Oh yeah,
Even
sure.
the Walmart.
Yeah, but I mean, has your used stuff has your used stuff gone up there? In that, have you noticed?
Oh, we have like 30 thrift stores. They're pretty cheap. I mean, for used records, for secondhand stores. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, the thrift stores are cheap, and the selections can be a little hit and miss, of course. Thrift,
Some people take good care of older records, and some people won't. So
sure.
when it comes to
Yeah.
secondhand stores,
Yeah, most of the thrift stores around here is they won't. I would say they won't take anything that's probably less than a VG minus. Whereas a thrift, like a Goodwill, they don't really care.
And antique flea markets are good to place to
Yeah,
find good used records too.
yeah,
Flea
yeah.
markets,
You're
antique
right.
stores.
Yeah,
Expensive,
yeah, you're right.
but yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. They are. So, but generally, even
Yeah.
like the antique stores, I've noticed their pricing. They've
Can be,
caught the wave. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Of
it can be high.
yeah, they
Mhm.
can be high. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, the other day, and I showed this I think on Chance's stream last night. If I still have it here. Yeah.
I watched
Yeah,
some
so
of.
back, I found this finally. I knew I had it, I just couldn't find it. It's a Chicago 2. It's sealed still. It was a promo that
Demonstration.
was, yeah, but it wasn't like a white label promo. It was a promo that like the band and the manager and that would give to people. Like I did an interview with them and they gave this to me, and it
Oh,
had
yeah,
this poster in it and booklet
that kind of
in it.
promo.
Yeah, so it's just, but I knew I had this and I couldn't find it. It was pissing me off. It was like, where is that thing? So finally, I found it. Like, okay, because it's kind of for me, it's a memory, of that when doing that interview and then getting that, and it was bugging me that I couldn't find it. Now that album, if you ever run across a Steve Wilson remix of that, the Steve Wilson version of that album, get it because it is transformative for that album. It's just like a lot of his Tull work is. Jethro Tull, his
Score.
remixes are great. I
Cool.
like his remix better than the UHQR of Aqualung, for example. So yeah, Chicago 2 is muddy. Yep. Yeah, it is. So I've got the Mobile Fidelity half speed of CTA, the Chicago 1, the black one, and it's really good. And then the Chicago 2 Steve Wilson is the go-to for that one. If you can, I mean, you can find it, I guess, on Discogs and whatever. But
That's one band I'm not too big of a fan of, Chicago.
okay,
But yeah, they were popular, I know. Yeah.
yeah, no, well, you either like the horn sound or you don't, because I mean that's so you're probably not a big fan of Blood, Sweat, and Tears either.
So.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so you're not a horn guy, I guess I would say.
Unless it's jazz. Well, unless it's jazz.
Unless it's jazz. Yeah, we'll see.
Brass, good brass instruments.
There we
Jazz.
go. Safford 13, yeah.
She was
Steve
Aqua.
Wilson, Aqua.
Jethro
Yeah,
Tull. Mm.
yeah, the Aqualung. Yeah, he did most of their catalog. I've got, I think, 5 of his, and they're all good. Now, I will say the stand-up that Analog Productions did, and it's not a UHQR, but it's a 2x45. The stand-up is very, very good.
Oh yeah.
It is. It's much. It's a big improvement. Now, again, Steve Wilson is a remix, not just a remaster, so it's a little bit different. So I tend to be careful not to, do an apples to apples to those because they aren't. But definitely the stand up through Analog Productions, the one that's like $60, 2x45, is definitely much better than the OG. Very well done, actually. Really enjoyed that one. So it's all an experience of listening and discerning. And what kind of turntable do you run, Dave?
Oh, did I tell? I thought I told. Audio. I think I told you this once.
You may
Audio.
have told me one time, but I'm old and I forget. And there may be some people on here that weren't on here before. So
Audio Technica LP 120. I think.
120.
Yeah, with a has a automatic return. You know.
A 120 has an automatic
I
return.
think is
No,
that the
can't
one?
be. Can't be.
I forgot
The
the name of
six
the number.
does. The 6 does, and the
Be right back.
3 does. So Dave, although he told me he doesn't remember what the number is, that's okay. Hey, it's just a number. It's just I get it. I get it.
Okay, I got the name. It's a how do you ATLP 60?
16?
No,
6.
60.
6
60.
0.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay. Let me see
Yeah.
it. Let me see the.
This is just an instruction book.
I know it is. I know it is. Okay.
We can't. This doesn't show up very good.
6
Anyway.
0. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, those are automatics, right? Those
Yes,
are automatics.
automatic. I meant, yeah.
And it's got an Audio Technica cartridge.
Has a Bluetooth, which I don't use with
Right.
it.
Yeah, you can't. You can change the stylus on that, but you can't actually, I don't think, change the cartridge itself.
You can take the cartridge off. It's real easy.
Really? It's got a head shell on it?
Yes.
Really? Okay.
The needle, it comes
The
off
6
really.
didn't. I thought the 60 was an upgrade of the 6.
That I don't know.
Let me look. I'm going to look here. ATLP60 XBT. That's a Bluetooth, right? XBT. Okay.
SPBT. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, okay. Fully automatic. Phono preamp, wireless Bluetooth. Yes.
I don't use that.
Right. Yeah, no, yeah, it's exactly as I said. So you can,
Take the.
yeah,
Cart-
so let me show you here. Yeah, so let me share that. I've got one. I've got the 6, which is the previous incarnation of that. I gave that to one of my kids actually.
Cool.
Share screen. Yeah. Let's see.
I just wondered how you shared the screen on.
Okay. So this is it, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Looks like it.
Got the little flip handle for starting and on the bottom there. Okay.
Yeah.
So the head shell,
This.
it doesn't have a removable shell.
Well, I meant the
You can
white part.
change the stylus, the white
stylus.
here.
I meant. I'm
You
sorry.
can only change the stylus. The
Yeah.
cartridge body you can't change.
can
It
change
doesn't
the
have like the screws on top and the head shell. So
No, the
but
stylus. You can
that's
change it.
fine. You can upgrade the sound even through the stylus. So
Mhm.
so that's cool. Yeah, those are those get the job done. They they don't have the counterweights and the
Oh yeah, I know.
anti-static and all that stuff
Yeah.
on them. So I don't know how they perform over time. So probably the most popular turntable that you sell at your store. You can't upgrade the needle. You can't upgrade the needle. I would think you can upgrade the needle. On the 6 you could. You may, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I know on the 6 you could. Maybe when it became a 60 they didn't. Yeah, I mean for the money it's a good model and it's got a good cartridge and yeah, just going back to Chicago for a minute. Yeah, Terry Kath, monster guitar player, is so sad that he accidentally shot himself at the Caribou Ranch. I mean, just
He used to be
tragic.
he used to be one of the lead singers of Chicago, right, Terry?
Yeah,
He
and a
sang
lead
to-
guitar. Yeah, and lead
I think
guitarist.
Peter
Yeah.
Cetera,
Yeah.
but
No, Terry was actually did more vocals in the early days
early days. So that's
than Cetera did. Actually, Cetera took on more once Terry passed on.
Then there's a Bill Champlin that
Bill
sang.
Champlin was added later. He was
The
in
80s
the
and
he was in the David Foster
I
production
grew up with the
days.
80s, some
60s and 70s. Yeah. Yeah, Audio Technica does make good stuff. The only thing I would warn people or tell people, the AT120, which is a manual table, which really threw me when we started talking. It's a manual table, looks like a Technique, actually.
Technics
But
was a good
but
brand.
there's a version, the original versions of that were called AT120, and then it would be like BT or for Bluetooth but there was no X there. The X means it's the new series. On the 120, if it's an X, the actual area around where the counterweight is and that can't lift like it did on the non-X. On the original ones, you could change the vertical tracking angle, which is desirable to do if you change the cartridge. Sometimes you need to change the vertical tracking angle. So the X is less flexible or has less functionality or flexibility for that kind of a change. So I always warn people, if you want to do any vertical changes, don't get the 120X, just get the 120 without the X. because it has that. So yeah, I had one and sold it myself. Thought it was a Techniques, didn't know Audio Technica was a different company at the time. Yeah, they made it look like it for sure.
I used to have a Technics semi-automatic turntable. That was a good brand.
Oh
Broke.
yeah,
Yeah,
Techniques is yeah. Techniques makes
the
really
older model I used to have.
yeah. I use Techniques exclusively when I DJ'd, like in the clubs and stuff, and reunions and weddings.
Oh, you
I
used to do.
used.
Well, yeah, I guess you said you worked at a
Well,
radio
I was
station.
a DJ in radio,
Radio.
and then when I lived in Houston, I did some side work to make some extra cash doing
Cool.
that. I convinced the gig to order the LP3. Jeffrey, you are my man. I'll tell you why. The LP3 is a hidden gem.
Hmm.
It is an automatic turntable, but it has the right componentry for good tone arm control. You know, the pivoted arm in the back, the anti-skate, the counterweight, the LP3, and it's like 250, I think. And it is head and shoulders better than, I'll say, the 60 or the 6. But you can't find it in many places. People don't know about it. So good on you. I don't know, where do you work? I mean, is it a record store? Is it how is it that you have the LP3? I'm really glad to see you say that, because that's the one I recommend to people if you want to spend under $300, because you get the automatic and you get the good tone arm, and you can change your cartridge. It's got a head shell. It's got a red head shell, so you can change that out. So, oh, Novus. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry,
Patrick.
you're at Patrick's.
He was. I was watching Patrick for a little bit.
He's in California. Nick's in California.
Oh, Nick lives in Louisiana.
He does, but Patrick lives in California. So he says, I'm at.
Live
Oh, he
show.
meant the live
Live
stream.
show.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Hey, no, okay. I thought you said I'm at Patrick's. I'm
Oh, yeah.
like, I took you literally. Sorry.
I'm pretty sure he meant the live head.
Yeah, I didn't know I was going live, Nick. I surprised myself. You work in an indie record shop. Well, good on you guys for selling the ATLP3, and good on you for recommending that. That is really great advice.
Cool,
That
Jeffrey.
that is a turntable that has limited distribution. I got one for my son-in-law through Amazon back when it was like one. I got it for $169. So we're talking probably just right before COVID, even. I mean, early, and it just is. I don't know. They don't make many of them. They don't push them real hard. I don't know if you have any opinion about that, Jeffrey, but it just seems to me, you sell regas as well. Okay, well. You're on both ends of the spectrum. But, dollar for dollar, value for value, that LP3, for people that aren't going to be getting into spending, hundreds and hundreds of dollars on a turntable, that's money well spent. Patrick has his regular, yeah, of course he does. I know he does. I know. I just,
David, we should get you on Georgia Borden's Sunday night show sometime.
yeah, no, that
If
would
you're
be
ever,
great. I
if
like
you're ever,
George.
if you're ever available. And
Yeah, no, I'd like to. I like George a lot. Smart guy.
George has let me on his show about six, seven times already. So
Well, I guess that means it's safe, right?
yeah,
No, no. Yeah, the LP3. Yeah, it is. I mean, I can't say enough good things about it. And like I said, it's just so, you go to the store and you look for something and it's not there usually. That's the thing. So people don't have it as an option. And it's unfortunate. And I don't know. I don't know why it's not stocked or why it's not pushed, or I'm not. It just seems odd to me.
P3 is a real winner.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, I mean, if someone's just starting, I try to get them to start there. They can do the 6 or the 60, but if they can spend 40 extra bucks, 30, whatever it is, it's just one step up in terms of the way the tone arm is set up, and usually those aren't on automatic tables at that kind of price level. So Put an Audiophile Blue on there and bang for the buck is incredible. Warehouse use have about 40 in stock. Good. Okay. Yeah, I have got to tell you, I don't know that I've ever heard an Audiophile cartridge. It just, for whatever reason in my sphere of listening, and I think I used to have a lot of Shure cartridges originally. That was my early cartridge default. And then when I got into quad, I had to get into Audio Technica because they were the only ones pretty much making the ones that had the 45 to 50,000 hertz frequency needed to bring that carrier signal in to split the channels. So I pretty well started to move toward Audio Technica. And once Shure went out of business, I definitely, went there. So
That's
what are you responding to?
Music
Oh,
Sanctuary, Tim, about two comments
okay.
up.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
George.
Thanks. No, I appreciate that. Yeah, Sunday nights I'm often,
Visit.
busy
Yeah.
with family stuff,
No problem.
but matter of fact, this Sunday I'm going to a baseball game, but I'll be back. What time is his show, by the way?
Oh, George is not having a show this Sunday.
Ah, of
So,
course. Okay.
I guess next
Next week.
week.
What time is it usually? Then I'll ask.
7. My time zone is 7 Mountain Time.
So
So
it'd be 8
he's
my
on
time.
the other coast.
Yeah, it'd be 8 my time.
California.
You're on Mountain, right? I'm on
Yeah.
Central, so I'm an hour
He's
ahead of you.
yours in California.
Yeah, he's in
George.
Cal. I don't care where he's at. I care where I'm at. Anyway, no.
Yeah. Central.
Yeah, I'm 8 o'clock to Central. So yeah, 8 might be. Yeah, 8 might work out. Try it. So great. Robert B. Audiophons are excellent at 2M Black and Condenser Brown. Both highly recommended. Their entire line is great. Yeah, Robert, I have a good friend in the VC, and he swears by Audiophile. And
I've heard of those.
and I need to hear him. Maybe one day I'll get his system and hear it on his. I'm not gonna. I wouldn't invest in one until I heard whether it, the signature of it meets like my hearing, what I like, my speakers, my system. Because that's what it's all about, right? George streamed the other weekend over 5 hours. Wow.
Oh, I was on a Wednesday. I remember that was during the middle of the week. Yeah, he did. Geez, that was long.
Wow. Yeah, Jeffrey, that's it. Well, you got a great turntable too, right? Concord Century. What would Jeffrey, since you're into selling stuff and you maybe hear a lot of different things, what could you characterize anything about the sound signature difference between, let's say, an Audiophile and Audio Technica generally? I mean, I don't know if you I know you understand what I mean, if you really can characterize it. It's like a lot of people, I think, feel Audio Technicas can be a little bit brighter. Let me put it to you this way: the Naoka 150, which everybody raves about, to me is just so boring. I'll call it. It's just kind of flat. It just has, I would say, no personality. Now, if you get into the higher end Nagaokas, the 200 and the 500, I mean, those I like those better. But the 150 or 110, I'm sorry, the 110's the default. Everybody raves about it. The 150 and the 200 I think are better. I like those better. But not so much the 110. It's just kind of drab to my ears for my taste, And I know one place I went into and the guy had the 110 on there and he's like, doesn't that sound great? And I'm like, nah, not really. And it's like it kind of became, and there's a guy in Asia that did reviews on cartridges and had shootouts. I can't remember his name or channel, but he did a lot of them, especially during COVID, and they were very interesting. But he was really a big proponent of the MP 110. I mean, he could have worked for Nagaoka for all I know. I have no idea, but might have been. So maybe Jeffrey's mulling out or typing out what he's thinking about my question. There it is. Okay. All the Audiophile within their line have their own sound signature. I wish I had more experience, but I haven't. In my limited budget, able to test many high-end ones. Okay, no, that's fair. That's fair. Um, yeah, yeah. I'd say again, I think Audio Technicas generally can be a tad brighter, um, and
Really.
that's kind of a
Mhm.
sound I like a little bit. So yeah, it just yeah, wouldn't it be great to just be able to have a bunch of cartridges and just
Oh,
change them out just as you go.
oh,
Um,
yeah.
I'm trying to get to that point. The good thing about the Audio Technicas, though, when you get in a series, you can change the styluses from like an elliptical to a Shibata to a microline. So
Hmm.
you really can get a different experience with the same physical body of the cartridge. So I really like the fact that the Audio Technica line kind of is built that way. It's a I say unique, but I mean it's a to me it's a value add that you can do that totally. Well, you know what? It's Saturday in Central Time. I just realized that.
Oh, yeah.
So Novus Nick is here. Hello, Novus. $3. He's going to say $3 here anytime, and we're not even selling anything. Ugh. It's hard to describe their sound. Neutral, not dark or lean, very detailed, engaging, can be bright depending on the stylus they use because every Audiophile has a different stylus. Okay. All right, that's fair. But that's good. When I go in the store and a guy, if I go and I'm talking about cartridges and I'm trying to get a sound and I talk to the salesperson or whatever, if they don't really try to get a profile of what sound I like or where I like it, then I realize, they're just kind of selling stuff, because it really is, they have different signatures. Nagaoka Denon, Grado, and Audio Technica for currently. That's a good combo. So, Safford 13, just for grins, if you could maybe outline the models you have of those, which Nagaoka Denon 330 or which one you have, the Grados, and I'd be interested just to get your take on some of those. Very detailed, much like Audiophile, maybe a little warmer, closer to the Audiophile blue sound. Ah, okay. Great.
Hmm.
Enjoyed the drop.
Yes.
You mean the video? And nah, you don't have to pay me $3 for the video. It's free. No problem. Hit the like. Oh, thanks, Novus. I forget that. You're right. I haven't even hit the like button on my own video. What the hell? Sure, just a second. Okay, great. Yeah, I mean, this is this
Yeah,
this is
hey,
where it
Novus
gets
Nick. How
it's
are you?
interesting to me. Yeah, I'm gonna like my own video. What the hell?
You can do it. Yeah, I said
Okay,
that.
Nova saying hello to you. All
Yeah.
right, that's
Hey, Nick.
nice. That's good. See, Nick, I thought you'd gone all the way to the West Coast to see Patrick, and all you did was join his stream. Oh boy, I'm just thinking way too big here. I went Italian 3 years ago and have a gold note Mediterraneo with Hannah cartridge. Okay. Yeah, Hannah's an interesting cartridge line. I've not heard them. I've read a lot about them. If not $3, hit the. It's not $3 to hit the like button. That's
I
right.
have to go back to YouTube. I think I hit the
Yeah,
like.
yeah, you have to. I just did it on my phone. It's easier. Um, but anyway, no, that's. So I went Italian. Yeah, I got a.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay, there you go. The MP200. Yeah, I like the MP200. That's a little more expensive one. I like that. DL110 is a stalwart, uh, and Grado ME Plus. Yeah, that's mono. Okay, great. And then is your AT440 it's an ML? Is it an A or B, or is it just not branded that way? But most of them I've known were an A or a B, because my understanding is that that cartridge will decode CD4 discs in spite of the fact that the the documented frequency level is 25 or 30, and it doesn't technically say that it goes that high, but I've heard a lot of people say that their CD4 LPs play fine on that. So that is one, even though I know it's been replaced, that I'm looking at getting some new old stock on. RP6, Ania Pro, okay. Yeah, Ania Pro, that's a niche, a little bit of a niche selection. Nick, I don't know what drove you to that, but I haven't heard that one mentioned a lot. I've read up on it, but I haven't heard that one mentioned. So, it's an original 440 ml. Okay, yeah, it must be, because all the ones I see pretty much are A's or B's. Okay, yeah, you got some nice cartridges there, some difference in sound. So. I'm most curious about the Nagaoka 200 versus the DL110 for Denon. How would you characterize those two, Separate 13? How would you characterize those two differences in those two? Because the Denon is it's a darn. I've heard it. It sounds sweet. It's a nice cartridge. And the MP200 I've heard, I liked it a lot. It's above. The 110 is the bottom, and then the 150, and then the 200 is above that. Which I think really had a nice sound to it. Definitely had some personality versus the 110, which I really basically didn't think it have it. It's made, yeah, right. So I always like to ask people, what is your reason for being a Riga fan, or being someone that's in Riga land?
I've heard about them.
Oh yeah, and I've seen them, and they're well known and well sought after and thought after, and but I've always kind of curious, Link, sorry, yeah, we gave one earlier. Let me see if it's still in my buffer here.
You have to do another link, or
there it is. That should be the one, Nick. You're going to get a guy here who looks like he's relaxing. Which would be
old lazy boy, Nick.
Yeah. Hey, he works in a restaurant. He ain't lazy. He's worn out.
Well, yeah, I know. I just
no one's saying hello to Nick. Thank you, Michael. The Nickster. Yeah, hopefully he saw the link, and he's there he comes. There he is.
Hey, Nick.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, buddy. How are you?
All right. Let me get these rematched to the iPad here. I'm doing good.
Good.
Just test. All
I
right.
can hear you, but I can't see you. You're incognito.
You went black, dark.
Yeah.
There we go.
There you are.
We're back.
You're back.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're always
Answer
welcome
to the
anytime.
question, why a Riga? I had a local dealer. I like
You mean
their
Turntable?
theories. Yes.
Okay, just checking.
Yes. Okay. It's late. It's been a long day.
I know.
And it's the ease of setup, the lack of complexity, price point was good. The ability to, well, there's so many, you can upgrade the kits, and Riga makes cartridges that, has the 3-point setup, so it's really pretty difficult to mess up the setup, and it sounds lovely.
So it's idiot proof, and it sounds great.
It's idiot proof.
That's the
almost.
That's the ad. Okay, we've written the
Not
ad.
quite. Now,
Oh,
matter of fact, the Michael 45 has the Einstein, right? The creator of the Einstein had studied and complimented the Riga the way they do their turntables because they believe in what Riga does as well, except for the Einstein does it at a, you know, cost no object kind of thing.
sure.
And
Sure.
Riga just recently did a cost no object, and it was incredibly expensive.
Sure.
But
Yeah, of course.
it's like anything. The technology comes down to the lower end.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Riga 6 when I got it was in between their entry level and their higher end. At that point, I've had this turntable for a decade, 12 years, and had a wonderful card on it. I can't think. It's not coming to me right now. It was the yellow cartridge, Exact 2. It was a warm, wonderful cartridge, a moving magnet. Well, the Nia Pro that I upgraded to is a moving coil, and it costs roughly what the turntable costs.
Oh.
But the step up in sound quality and what it extracts from the groove is incredible. I went with a Lehman Decade phono preamp, and of course,
Okay.
I don't know if you know, my whole system's all tubes.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I love what it does.
Those
So
of us that like tubes are just we're emulating our end of life scenario. Lots of tubes. So it's
I hope not.
no, I know. Well,
You know, could
I hope they're not as hot too. You know, I mean,
yeah, it could be like that old man that wakes up his sleeping wife in the back seat says, "Wait, you're never going to see an accident like this ever again."
yeah, that's it.
Oh,
So we were talking carts like you just did. So Sanford
okay.
13 had some. He said it's tough to compare. I asked him about the Nagaoka MP 200 and the Denon 110 DL 110, which is MC cartridge, as he said.
Right.
Maybe a tad more upper end in clarity, but in all honesty, it's and then I would definitely not find fault in either. It's kind of like what's the signature, right? You know, and he kind of said it there. He said I think the Denon might have a touch more clarity in top end, which is fine. That's what we're looking for. And Jeffrey's thanks for that info. So yeah, monocart does for mono stuff, it does make a difference. I mean, I'm not a huge mono fan I'm just not. And so,
Right.
but I've heard them and I could see where if I was into that, I think I would probably have one.
Right.
But I'm not one of those people who just unabashedly say, for example, Beatles mono sounds better than I think the early stuff that's probably more true. Just
If you
Yeah.
go
because the
to
stereo was so freaking crude.
if you go to records before 57 to 55, those are all mono only.
Oh, of course.
hmm
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
The
Absolutely.
my preamp. See, my turntable doesn't allow mono unless I change everything over. But my preamp has a mono button on it,
Yeah, so
Yeah.
so
vice versa.
that
Yeah, right.
simulates it. I
It's
realize
not quite the
it's
same as a
not
mono
quite,
cart.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it's as close as you'll get without having the expenditure.
Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, and you got to, like I said, you got to like listening to mono enough to justify doing it
right,
too.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
that's a bottom line. But it's interesting that all the different systems people have and what they
hmm
listen to, and it should be tailored to what your preferences are. It's your system. There's no right or wrong on any of that stuff. It's just like these reviews. It's like this is what's there. You kind of be the
Yep.
judge.
Oh yeah.
That's all I can do. So
Like the old
so
saying, it's why they make chocolate and vanilla
yeah,
Oh
right.
yeah.
and strawberry, and you go on and on.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Oh, just I should have mentioned this earlier, but I didn't. Just a note. I did. I did get a note from Chad this evening that he had watched the video and said, "Yeah, I think you pretty well hit the nail on the head from
Yeah.
his perspective of what they did and why they
Oh,
did it."
great, great.
So I'm glad because I wouldn't want to misrepresent anything, uh, but I was glad he took the time
Uh,
to watch it and get back
that's
to me
great.
on it.
Cool.
So,
Yeah,
Good idea.
it was a lot. It had to have been a lot of work.
it was fun. It was different. Like I said, it was different than anything I'd done before. I didn't expect it though. I didn't walk into it kind of expecting it. You kind of do these and you kind of go. But I knew when that first review came out from Fremer, I'm like, oh God, here we go.
Yeah.
Uh, you
Yep.
know, and I, and he was, he said what he thought and what he heard, and I don't, like I said, I don't have argument with it, and he really wasn't doing a shootout. He was just saying what he thought he heard.
Right. And
So
I didn't see it because time is
yeah,
something I don't
sure,
have.
yeah,
So
no, yeah, and it's
and,
it's a it's a written review. It's not a
oh,
it's on trackingangle.com. It's not a
right, right.
and
And there's
he actual wrote a clarification thing after that to
okay.
clarify because he said people were kind of say jumping off buildings, but you know what I mean. They were kind of
Yeah, having a tizzy
yeah,
fit.
they were kind of like very well. People were like, "What the hell? Should I cancel my order? Should I whatever?"
Well,
I mean, we're talking that kind of thing, but
well, I look at reviews and things like that as if you opened your mouth or made a statement, you were wrong. And somebody's going to find you wrong,
oh sure,
period. Doesn't
yeah,
matter.
absolutely.
So that comes with the territory.
Right.
But
Yeah. No, it
it's
does. You open
it's like,
yourself up, right? I mean, you
hmm
do.
yeah,
I
you're being brave.
yeah, yeah.
You're
I mean,
willing to take the sling and arrows along with the
yeah.
accolades. But
Well, yeah,
with me, I was telling you about time. Yeah,
yeah.
I have to pick and choose who
Oh
I'm going
yeah.
to take
Oh
my
sure you do.
reviews from,
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
because
No.
it's like reading reviews from years ago. You it's not so much that you agreed or disagreed with the writer. You had to find out what their ear and taste was like first before you could calculate what his review meant to you personally.
Right.
You know?
Sure. Yeah, it's all context, right?
Yeah.
You know. And that's the thing. And that's what I always try to say things like, well, I like this. For me, I'm more endeared to this kind of sound. So that
Hmm.
there's a context people can put it in.
Absolutely.
Because if I say I like it a little brighter, and someone else says, "Well, I really hate bright,"
Hmm.
then they could rightly come to the conclusion I may not like it as much as this guy does, and that's fine. And
Yeah.
that's why you got to do it that way.
Yeah.
You can't ever say this is there's no 100% sealed freshness and delivery of this is it
No.
and that's the end story. It's all about perspective and giving the people enough to go on and then making their own mind up.
Yep.
But like I said, the people that have an issue with it, I know I understand why they're having an issue
Yeah.
because we've all had expectations kind of set for what better sounds like.
Sure.
And sometimes it's not that because if you really have a recording that has an issue with it or has a problem, the question is can you try to fix it, smooth it out? Can you try to bring it to being enjoyable?
Yeah.
Because that's why that thing Doug Sachs said was so to me so telling. How does it make you feel? Not
Yep.
just how does it make you sound, but how does it make you feel?
Yeah.
Do you
Oh,
enjoy it? I went back and listened to the UHQR after dinner again. You would think I'd be sick of it, but
yeah.
I just gained an enjoyment of it. And I'm like, that every time I listen to it, I'm like, they really figured out something about this that I don't know how they did it exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's the art of it, right? That's kind of the
Hmm.
art of it. That's kind of the
That's
art of
like I wrote to you earlier. It's like,
it. Yeah.
I figured you might be getting tired of listening, but
Yeah,
not yet.
right. No, exactly. You're the guy that wrote that, and I'm like, yeah. Funny
Yeah.
enough, I listened to it after dinner again one more time. Like,
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah.
so yeah. So his
But
review
I
had
did.
me freaking out, but maybe he should have waited. It's all good though. Yeah, yeah. Well, he got it the day, I think, I don't know if you got it Thursday, but he got, got it quick. The next day air, I know, uh, and and so and he wrote it pretty quick.
Yeah,
Uses
well,
copious amounts of eccentric gear and those huge Wilson speakers. I don't know the answer on that, Jeffrey, on the Wilsons. I know his listening area is. I think it's got. I think he's got a little bit crowded, kind of an environment.
it
So
looks that way.
yeah, and I know somebody that actually visited him. So I mean,
Yeah.
more than the equipment, for me at least, I would, that's the room environment has something to do too. But
Yeah.
again, like I said, out of the gate, if you've listened to the OG and you listen to this one, you're gonna, I'm like looking, something blocking my tweeters. What's happened? I mean, that's, literally that was the first impression you get. That was, your, first, but sometimes first impressions aren't the best thing to, to take. So, yeah.
Well, with music, it also so much depends on your frame of mind, your attitude, how your day was.
Oh
You
yeah.
know,
Well,
I,
shit. Yeah. You get
yeah,
into
I mean,
that.
yeah, if you're having a bad day, it's just not going to sound good.
Yeah.
Yeah, possibly.
I think, Jeffrey, we knew
Yeah.
what you meant, but he said it looks quite small. He said, I want to clarify. I'm talking about the room. It's just,
Yeah. See, I have a set of speakers. I'm in a decent room, not I'm not crowded. I feel it's crowded for the size speakers I have,
okay.
and they're nothing the size of those Wilsons.
Yeah.
And it just I don't it looks like to me that those Wilsons must be suffocating because they
Yeah.
need to me a tower needs some room to breathe to project
Hmm.
across a room.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Yeah. No, I've got towers. I know what you mean.
Yep.
Yeah. And my room is deeper than it is wide,
Right.
but it's got plenty of room for them to throw,
Mm-hmm.
to throw their sound, so yeah, so yeah, it's all interesting, and um, I actually posted it on Hoffman Forum on the thread about this, so I'm waiting for that one to someone to but I know the kind of the nature of how that can happen there, and a lot of
Yeah.
spectrum analysis postings on there of it, and and it's
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, okay, well, um, that's part of the equation, but how much do you really hear over what, 17,000 hertz or so? I mean, it starts.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, but there is a openness, or there, even if you aren't hearing it, the spatiality of it
Right.
being there has some presence. And your equipment is usually picking it up,
Mhm.
and it affects, I think, the way the overall characteristic of sound is, even if you don't overtly hear it.
Right. I agree with you.
It's
You're
kind of like
right.
your dog. They react to those high sounds, even though they can't really. They're like doing this reaction thing, response.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Oh, I thought that was the look you gave when you walked in with a new album and your wife was standing
No,
there.
it's like I figure out when she's not going to be home. I hide him in the car. It's just,
My wife just gave up.
yeah, no, my wife's given up too. I mean, yeah, now my mother, when I was a kid, I remember sneaking in the house with records. And that's the one thing I can tell you, and this is no joke, guys. That thing Fremer has on his video, where his mother goes, records, more
Yeah,
record.
yeah.
My mother sounded exactly like that.
I love
Yeah,
that
yeah.
entry.
It's so, it's just ditto, and it's, my
Hmm.
mother used to, because my setup was in the basement, and she'd open the door that went down the stairs to the basement from
Right.
upstairs. She'd say, David, we're not running a dance hall.
Oh, too funny.
I
Well, I
used
wanted to come on and say hi, but I got to go to work
I
in the
know you got to
morning.
go to work, and
Yes, sir.
I think it's about 12:30. I'm gonna head. Let's see.
Yep.
Let's see. I
Yeah,
got one more.
I'm about ready to call night
Yeah.
too.
Always appreciate you being on
Thank
and
you
you
for
and the work
jumping
you
on.
do, sir.
Thank you for your support. I
Peanut
appreciate it.
Gallery, thanks so
Yeah.
much for
Thank
being
you.
here.
Thanks, Nick. Take care.
All right.
Take
Bye bye,
care.
my friends.
Bye
Bye,
bye.
Nick.
Safford 30. Yeah, I do still run a quad system. Safford 30. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just reminder of the past, but I enjoy it. Thanks, Dave, for
I'm
joining.
gonna get out here too. Have a good
Okay,
night,
buddy. Take
David.
care of yourself.
You
Have a
too.
good evening. Have a good weekend. Thanks
I'm
for
gonna
joining.
go. I'm always on that. Even though I'm gonna go to some Remy shows tomorrow to look for music, of course.
Okay, well, let's see what you get. Tell us what you get.
If I get any, sometimes it's hit and miss with Remy sales. You'll
Yeah, it
find it
is.
all
You're
sometimes.
right. You just never know. Thanks, Jeffrey, for joining us. Robert, thanks. Yeah. Yeah, exactly, Robert. Thanks. All right, everybody. Good night. Have a great weekend. Take care. Stay safe. Give your family a kiss. Don't forget, life's too short. Take care, everybody.